Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. Well, just today we thought just have a bit of a ramble. So, not a poetry in the Bible or a theology talk series, but still something I think that is of importance. And for this chat, I'm smoking the Bilbo pipe, my curiously long meerschaum. I call it a Bilbo pipe for obvious reasons. It reaches down nearly down to my toes, and it doesn't seem quite enough just to refer to as a church warden, right? It's like a church warden's church warden. In it, I'm smoking some Capstan Original Navy Cut. I think I've mentioned this before. This is a very narrow draw, so really only shag ribbon cuts work in this. And I smoked the Capstan Original, which obviously comes in a flake. So it takes a fair bit of rubbing out to make it work in this pipe. And normally I don't do that with flakes. With flakes, I use the stuff and fold method that typically people use with coins, and indeed I use with coins as well. With the deluxe Navy rolls or the square coins, which I refer to as the Stokkebye's luxury twist flake. For those I like to, fold, twist, and stuff. I do relatively the same thing with the longer flakes. With long flakes, so it's like a triple fold, and then I put it in a little bit of a twist, and it burns pretty well. Tastes amazing, as it always does. It's Capstan. But with this one, I have to rub it out. And I don't know. I get a bit more of the light fruity notes. The bready note is still there, but almost a light sweet bread fruit, I guess, if I would put it in that category. Wearing my multicolored bow tie here today. So I've worn this here before. This one, it has different colors. It's the same micro pattern, but it's colored on 4 different sides. So depending on how you tie it, you can pull different colors out of it, which is just a quirky little piece of fashion. It's a nice thing about bow ties is they can be quirky and yet still work with classic fashion, as long as they're not, like novelty ties. And people shy away from the bow tie as if, it's like a Rubik's Cube. It's tying these is ridiculously easy. Perhaps I'll tag a video on at the end of this, or maybe some other day if I forget, because I may forget by the end, about how to tie a bow tie, because it is rather relatively easy. I wanted to mention before I got too far into the video that I had a person subscribe to me recently. And as I normally do when someone subscribes to me, if they have a channel of their own, I check it out. I go through the history of their videos and kind of see, who they are, and interact with them in some way and comment on their videos. The way of saying, thank you for looking at me and watching my content. I'll want to be interested in yours as well. And I subscribed to this person's channel and watched a couple of her videos and so forth. And then one of the feeds popped up and I saw Load Poems Like Guns. And I was like, oh, I have that book. And then it finally hit me that this person is the author of that book, or the editor of that collection of poems. I've read from that book a few times. I bought it at a bookshop about a little over a year ago. Load Poems Like Guns. It's the collection of poems from Afghan women and women in Afghanistan who had lived under the Taliban rule and the brief respite of freedom, thanks to our efforts and the efforts of our allies, and now we're back under Taliban rule again, and their expression through poetry what their life was like. Gripping book. It's wonderful stuff. Great poetry. In any case, it was her. So I'm going to put a link in the description to her channel, but it's definitely worth checking out. She's a wonderful poet. She's doing some incredible work. She's also the victim of a stroke, and due to some of the neurological damage that happened in that time, she suffers from an inability to speak clearly and so on and so forth. And as part of her therapy, she's started this channel to read her poetry out loud and speak out loud to try to work through that. And I just think it's an incredible example of courage. I mean, just from the book and the poetry and what she's lived through, and through the stroke and how she's attempting to recover through that. So it's a wonderful channel. She's a wonderful woman. Even if you're not a fan of poetry, it's a great channel to check out. So I highly encourage it. So, topic for today. I mentioned often in several different contexts about the importance of mentoring, of sharing knowledge with those who come after us, whether it's our children or young people we mentor in any kind of fashion, right? It's especially prevalent in the YTPC with older pipe smokers and people who have developed new techniques and so on and so forth. Not new techniques, but people who have really gone further down the path of pipe smoking than many of us. Of course, I'm speaking about people, like Dread Tiger and Malcolm Guite and, people who have been smoking a pipe since the 60s and 70s. But there's other things too, where we can mentor and teach and train and help others learn, right? But what does it take to actually do that? To actually mentor someone? Because it's not just about telling somebody something you know. Oh, I'm an expert in this, listen to me, right? You have to establish a relationship, build a rapport with them so that they feel comfortable following you, so that they see you as a role model in whatever area it is, right? And in order to do that, you have to buy into them and you have to invest in their lives as well. And that's where the difficulty comes in. And this is why many people don't do it. This is why mentorship and leadership and so on and so forth is failing so many now, and how generation after generation has grown up rather, without anyone to mentor or lead or guide them. Because it takes more to mentor and guide somebody than to just, share knowledge. There's that old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's an accurate statement. As an example, tomorrow I am dressing in costume and going to an anime convention. Yeah, I'm going to spend the weekend at an anime con thing with anime characters and so on and so forth. And as a part of that, I'm dressing in costume, going with my youngest daughter, who's a huge fan of anime, and I want to be invested in her life, right? And even though anime doesn't really interest me at all, in all honesty, and I'm sorry if I offend any other weebs out there, which is the term for an anime fan, but to me, everything in the whole anime community is just a bunch of screaming magical ninjas. That's what they all seem like. Don't mean to generalize, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone there, but so it doesn't have a great deal of interest to me, but it really interests her. And it's interested her in Japanese cooking and in swordplay and all these other various different things, that has really sparked her imagination. And she wanted to do this, so I was like, okay, we'll go. That's me investing in her and things that she enjoys, right? Laying down my own agenda, the things that I wanted to do. I'd much rather spend my day off going to a bookshop, smoking a pipe, but instead I'm going to go stay in a hotel and dress up like a anime character. Going as Mr. Compress, in case anybody's interested. Because I was scanning through all the different outfits that these people wear, and he wears like a waistcoat and a button-down shirt, and a hat. So I was like, I can go with that one. So I had to purchase some white boots with black tips and red gloves. He doesn't accessorize the same way I would, but in any case. But that's how we're directed to mentor, is to care for people and love for people. Lay down our own agendas, lay down our own lives, and serve in that kind of way. And that establishes that relationship. Now, the Bible says in 1 John 3:16, not John 3:16. Everyone knows John 3:16. Talking 1 John 3:16. It says that we are to love the way Christ loved, laying down his life for others, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily just mean, taking a bullet for somebody. Because at the end of the day, laying down your life for somebody means a lot more than just that. Sure, making the ultimate sacrifice to preserve someone else's life is noble and so on and so forth, but it's not something many of us are called to do, right? But there's people we love and care for in our lives where we have to lay down our lives, which is to mean to set aside our agenda, to stop being selfish and put someone else's needs ahead of our own. Had a long day at the office, you're crazy tired, it's been a really, really long day. You come home, just sink's full of dishes. Lay down your life and do the dishes so somebody else doesn't have to. You got a task list a million miles long. You got a ton of things to do, right? But your kids or your wife or your spouse or your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever wants to spend some time talking to you. Lay down your life and care for them. Lay down your life and connect with them. Set your own agenda aside. So when you do that, then people know you care. When you do that, when you put their needs above your own, I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying be a pushover and a milksop and a people pleaser. I'm saying think of someone else ahead of yourself. Invest in them, invest in their life. Lay yourself down, lay your life down and invest in them. That's when they connect with you and that's when they know you care. That's when you have the opportunity to mentor and teach. I have no doubt that I'll be able to offer some life lessons over the weekend. I'm hanging out at the anime convention with my daughter, and she's much more likely to listen to me, knowing that me, a grown man in my late 40s, is dressed as an anime character for her. She's much more likely to listen to that than she is me sitting here in my wingback chair telling her to have a seat so I can tell her about life. You want to see a teenage kid check out quickly? Sit down, look like this, and tell them you're going to lecture them about life skills. They will very respectfully, the good ones anyway, they will very respectfully sit there and stare at you as their eyes glaze over and they totally check out. But take them to do something that they really enjoy. RC car racing, go to a football game, go fishing with them, go to a painting class, a ceramics course. Sit with them doing something they enjoy and you don't necessarily enjoy, and invest in them, and then they listen. Then you can lead. Then we can have a very positive effect on the next generation. Well, that is it for this. I'm going to enjoy my last pipe of the weekend because I doubt the hotel we'll be staying at will allow smoking. I'll bring a pipe rolling anyway, just in case there's a porch or something. But in all honesty, I probably won't smoke at all because I'll be with her and she doesn't like pipe smoking. This weekend's about her. So, yeah, in all honesty, the pipe roll is probably going to stay at home. So I'm going to enjoy my last pipe of the weekend and then go get my costume together. So hope you have a lovely week. As always, happy reading. As I mentioned, I would offer a demonstration on tying a bow tie. So start with one just a wee bit longer than the other, maybe a quarter of an inch or so. Cross them and take the longer end up underneath. Go closer there. Pull it tight there. And then what's in your right hand, you're going to fold this over with your finger. Okay, see I did that right there. Makes the bow tie shape, essentially. Then this one comes over the top here. Then you take the ends of this one here and this one here and pinch them together. You've got that hanging down there. It creates a little space in there. So That goes in that little hole, and then pull it out, and then you simply adjust to make it look as even as you want. Now, in actuality, you don't want it to be fully symmetrical, because fully symmetrical bow ties look fake, like the ones you get like at prom when you're 16, right? With a little band around the outside. So you want it to be a little bit off, and that's fine. That's it. So now you too, get more bow tie. Have a good week.